City, and welcome to the formal session of our City Council meeting for this 17th of May, 2022. Tonight we put on all three of our hats. We put on the LBA hat, we put on the RDA hat, and we put on our City Council hat. And we'll start with our Lba Opening Ceremony as our first action today. And I want to welcome Salt Lake City Council, combined the Local Building Authority, Redevelopment Agency, and City Council meeting. We're happy to have you here join us virtually or in person. Thank you for your patience as we continue to navigate the COVID situation and trying to make the best decision to keep people safe. If you are here, join us on site. Council continues to take precautions to reduce the transmission of COVID-19 and maintain a healthy work environment. For those, for now, masks are no longer required in city facilities. However, anyone here in person who prefers to wear a mask is welcome to do so. If you are here to give public comments, feel free to remove your mask after your name has been called and you are at the microphone to address the council. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and thank you for everybody for joining us in person. I will move on to item number 2, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. And today we have a Cub Scout pack who meets in the avenues at the First Presbyterian Church, Troop 3034, to lead us in the pledge. Please stand and join the troop in the pledge.
Please salute the flag and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic and which it stands, one nation, under God, for indivisible, in between and justice for all.
Thank you for posting the colors. I appreciate that. Very nice job. And I'm just going to read here. We always enjoy having a scout troop being a part of our meetings, and I understand you are under Den Leader Keith McGoldrick and Assistant Den Leader Rob Trishman. I think it's, and our treatment today is that with the scouts are the son of Cindy Lou. And Scouts, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Hey, you want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Haruki.
I am Briggs, and that's my mom over there, the city recorder.
And what grade are you guys in?
Third.
This isn't a news interview. Stop asking questions.
We can tell the genes right there, huh?
Cindy Lou, can we get a happy to take parenting comments? Briggs, you answer the question.
Cindy Lou, can we do a picture with all of us with them?
3rd grade? Yeah. Yes. Yes, if you'd like one.
Yes, we would love one. If they would.
I mean, are they taking photos or?
We won't be signing. We won't be asking for autographs.
Cindy Lou, there'd be less glare if it's like from this angle. Yeah. From behind the window. Okay, everybody look over. Yeah. Oh yeah. Cindy Lou, you should. Looks great. Yay. Yeah. Great job.
All right, we'll move on to item number 3. Before we begin tonight's meetings, I want to make a distinction for the public's understanding and ensure we have a clear record. As the city's elected officials, I'd like to highlight city council members don't just serve on the city council, but we also serve on the local building authority board and the redevelopment agency board. Think of us as a council wearing 3 different hats, and we will begin tonight, as I said earlier, with the business of the local building authority, and then we will change hats to the RDA and then change back to the city council. And our business item tonight includes the holding of public hearings regarding proposed fiscal year 2022 to 23 budgets for each entity. As a local building authority, we're at the LBA public hearing item B1 regarding resolutions of the budget of the capital projects fund for the local building authority for fiscal year 2022 to 23. And before we take any comments, I'll turn the time over to Jen Bruno, or maybe, oh, there she is, Jen Bruno, policy analyst, to give us a short introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just to clarify that this first hearing will address the local building authority budget. The local building authority is the city's financing mechanism to build facilities such as the Glendale and Marmalade Library, and this budget is actually just a tool to pay off those bonds. While the title references capital projects, this budget does actually not include any of the capital projects that are referenced in the mayor's recommended budget for the general fund. Those are addressed later tonight. An additional public hearing on the local building authority and all other city budgets will be held on July 7th at 7 p.m.
You, Jen, and I will look for a motion.
Mr. Chair. I move that the board close the public hearing.
Oh.
No?
Oh, hold on a second. Sorry. Did we have any comments? I jumped a gun here.
Council Chair, we have one commenter for this item, and that is Amy Leach.
Thank you. I don't have anything to comment at this point.
Okay. So we do not have any commenters.
Thank you. Now I will look for a motion.
Now I move that the board close the public hearing and refer to the public hearing on June 7th, 2022.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Puyi, a second from Councilmember Fowler. Any discussions on this item? Seeing no discussions, I will roll call it. Councilmember Petro.
Yes.
Alomores.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Orton.
Yes.
Puyi.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That motion passes unanimously. And that concludes our local building authority meeting. Now I look for a motion to adjourn and convene as the RDA.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, a second from Councilmember Orton. Any discussion on this item? See no discussions, I will roll call as Councilmember Fowler.
Yes.
Puyi.
Yes.
Orton.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Ballamores.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That passes unanimously. We are now convening as the Redevelopment Agency Board, and we will go to item number D1 and the public hearings on the resolution, the budget of the Redevelopment Agency of Salt Lake City for fiscal year 2022 to 23. And before taking public comments, I'll turn the time back over to Jen to give us a short introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the first of 2 public hearings related to the RDA, the proposed RDA budget for fiscal year 23, as proposed by the administration. If there are comments on the proposed city budget, those comments should be held to the next public hearing later in the night. An additional public hearing on the RDA budget will be held on July 7th at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Jen. And Taylor,
I'm gonna go around and read.
open the floor to public comments.
Thank you, Council Chair. We have 2 people here to speak to this item. The first of which will be Amy Leach, followed by George Chapman. Amy, you're unmuted.
Great. Thank you. Same. No comment at this point. Thank you.
And we will move on to George Chapman. George, you're now unmuted.
Okay. I want to know if this city is applying for the federal funds available for communities displaced by freeways. If not, it should apply because the 9th South off-ramp destroyed the People's Community Council area. The solution compensation should be making the Fleet Block a park along with saving the murals. Even though I believe most of the shootings were justified, I can make a pretty good argument that those murals are probably the most important best art that this city has ever created. Better than the Whale, better than the Mattress Box building, and they should be saved. The cost is less than the Mattress Box building. Seriously, these murals are community-driven and important art that should be the basis for a People's Park to correct and compensate for the destructions of the People's community that the 9th South off-ramp destroyed. And the RDA should use the EMT building for a library, police substation, and police department. Youth specialists that you're talking about can use the building to work with the youth in the community. Come on, the building's ready. The community needs it. This is RDA territory, and you have the funds available. You're putting them in the budget, so let's do this. Let's make this happen. Those are my comments.
Thank you, George.
That was the last comment for this item.
Thank you, Taylor. I will look for a motion here.
Mr. Chair, I move that the board close the public hearing and refer to the public hearing on June 7th, 2022.
Second.
Put it in my mouth.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, a second from Councilmember Pui. Any discussion on this item? Pardon?
Actually, which space? Oh.
Oh, okay. On the RDA? Did you have a public comment for the RDA?
Budget. The citywide budget.
Oh, yeah, it's
Not yet.
later on. Yes, okay. Yeah. Any discussion on this item? Seeing this discussions, Councilmember Petro?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Mono?
Yes.
Orton?
Yes.
Pui?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, that passes unanimously. That concludes our redevelopment agency board meeting, and now we'll ask for a motion to adjourn the RDA and convene as a city council.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Mono, a second from Councilmember Wharton. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussions, I'll roll call us. Councilmember Petro?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Mono?
Yes.
Wharton? Yes.
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, that passes unanimously. We now will be convening as the body of the Salt Lake City Council. And our first item on the council business is F1, and the council will consider adopting a joint ceremonial resolution with Mayor Mendenhall celebrating Pride Month. I'm going to turn the time over to Councilmember Alejandro Pui, who will read the resolution.
Joint resolution celebrating June 2022 as Pride Month in Salt Lake City. Whereas our nation was founded on the principle of equal rights for all people, and the fulfillment of the promise has been long coming for many Americans. And whereas some of the most inspiring moments in our history have emerged from the various civil rights movements that have brought one group after another from the margins to the mainstream of American society. And whereas the month of June is traditionally recognized as Pride Month in commemoration of the Stonewall riots of 1969, which are one of those moments that sparkled change and are widely considered to be among the most important events leading to the gay liberation movement and the modern fight for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer plus LGBTQ plus rights in the United States. And whereas Pride Month celebrates and recognizes a community that includes people who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, two-spirit, pansexual, asexual, gender fluid, non-binary, intersex, as well as heterosexual allies. And whereas Salt Lake City acknowledges that the LGBTQ plus community, and in particular Indigenous, Black, and other queer people of color, have faced and continue to face systematic discrimination, including restricted rights, social stigma, challenges accessing healthcare and other basic social services, and startling rates of violence. And whereas Salt Lake City has a proud history of leading the state and many other cities across the nation in enacting policies and programs that stand against discrimination and promote equality, opportunity, and prosperity for all members of the LGBTQ plus community, regardless of their race, religion, gender, identity, and sexual orientation. And whereas Pride Month will be an amplifying reminder of how much we have to celebrate and should prompt us to remain diligent and committed in our efforts to ensure full equality, inclusion, and empowerment for every member of our LGBTQ plus community. And whereas from May 29th to June 5th, the Utah Pride Center, a community space for all LGBTQ plus Utahns, will host Pride Week, a celebration of the LGBTQ plus community with the events and festivities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Salt Lake City Council and Mayor of Salt Lake City recognize June 2022 as Pride Month of Salt Lake City. Be it further resolved, Salt Lake City encourages and welcomes all residents and visitors to embrace Pride Month's message of equality and unity, and to enjoy its celebrations this June in peace, safety, and love.
Thank you, Councilmember Pui. I'd also like to welcome and recognize we have joined us from the Utah Pride Center, Benjamin Carr, the co-CEO of Development and Communications, Jessica Dumnar, co-CEO of Legal and Operations, and Tanya Hawkins, co-CEO of Equity and Programming. Benjamin, would you like to take this opportunity to address the resolution?
Sorry, Council Chair.
Need to adopt
Do you
it.
want to adopt the resolution first?
Well, that would be a good point.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the resolution. Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Mono, a second from Councilmember Wharton. No discussion on this item. Councilmember Petro.
Yes.
Baltimores.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
Pui.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That passes unanimously. Now, back to my first question. Is Benjamin would like to come up to the microphone and address the resolution?
You can all three come
Or
up
you can all
if you'd
three.
like.
Come on up. Yeah.
You can sit here if you want to. Yes.
Go ahead and sit here.
Whoever wants to be the spokesperson, go right ahead.
We'll have Jessica, she's the spokesperson.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for having us here tonight, and we are so excited and we're so grateful for our partnership with Salt Lake City and what you guys have done for the Pride Center and supporting us and supporting this community. It's a really incredible position to be in, to work with such a supportive city, and we're just grateful for all you have done for us and for this community. We see everything, and so thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for all your work. And I think we should have a picture.
Yes.
And we can just probably, all of us right here?
Hmm?
All right, this is awesome.
Try to gather around the flag.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, can I take one first and then I'll get in? Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Do you want me to take one for you on your phone too?
No, you're good.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. You guys look great. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, we will now move on to item number F2, and the council will approve the formal meeting minutes of February 1, 2022 and April 19th, 2022, as well as the limited formal meeting minutes of May 10th, 2022. I look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, a second from Councilmember Pui. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion on this item, I will roll call it. Councilmember Petro.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Pui.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
And I'm a yes with Councilmember Wharton absent at this time. Oh, here he is. And Councilmember Wharton is here, so that's unanimously 7-0. We will now move on to our public hearing. And we'll begin our public hearing. Taylor Hill on our staff will be calling the names of those who wish to comment. We will call names of people joined on WebEx and in person based on the order of registration and received comment cards. Once we open public comment, Taylor will announce 3 names at a time so that people can have some notice and be prepared to speak. When it's your turn to speak, Taylor will announce your name. For people in WebEx, she will unmute your line and you may begin. For people in person, please step up to the podium to make your comments into the microphone. Once you begin, please state your name and the 2-minute timer will start. At the 2-minute mark, the staff will announce time. If you are unable to finish your comments, please send the rest of your comments via email, mail, or call our office. Our contact information is posted in the meeting room or in the WebEx chat. If you do not wish to speak, please either message our staff or when our staff states your name, please let us know you're here to listen. Our first public hearing combines items G1 to G4 regarding grant applications to be heard as one public hearing. And before I turn the time over to, and also to Sylvia, I just want the rules of decorum. Let's be respectful of each other, no profanities, no outrageous calls, and let's have a nice civil discussion. And Taylor? Actually, Sylvia, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The city applies for and receives grants which help to support and fund some city programs. Each grant application is reviewed and then receives a public hearing, which gives the public an opportunity to comment on them. Tonight, there are 4 grants. First is the Rocky Mountain High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Grant, which would support the Salt Lake Narcotics Task Force for calendar year 2023. Second is the School Age Quality 22 grant, which would fund wages and benefits for group facilitator positions at youth city sites. Third is the School Age Summer Quality Expansion Grant for youth city sites, which would fund group facilitator and teacher positions for summer programming. Fourth is the 2022 Summer Food Service Program, which would fund daily snacks for youth participating in youth city summer programs. Again, these are items that the city has applied for to fund city programs and projects. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all.
Thank you, Sylvia. And Taylor, open up to public comment.
Council Chair, there is no one here to speak for public comment on this item.
Thank you, Taylor. So I will look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would move that the council close the public hearing and refer items G1 through G4 to a future consent agenda for action.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, a second from Councilmember Pui. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion, I will roll call this. Councilmember Mono.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
Pui.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That passes unanimously. I'll now move on to item number G5 regarding the library budget amendment for number 1 for fiscal year 2021 to 2022. And before comments, I'll turn the time over to Ben Lutke.
Mr. Chair, there is one item in the library budget amendment. It is a requirement that the library account for pass-through property taxes to the Inland Port and the County Convention Hotel. The amount is $500,000. This is an annual pass-through, And the proposed annual budget for next fiscal year includes a similar amount to avoid a budget amendment needed next time.
Thank you, Ben. And Taylor, open it up for public comments.
Council Chair, there is one person here to speak to this item, and that will be Katie Pappas. Katie, you are now unmuted.
Thank you. My name's Katie Pappas. I live in Salt Lake City. I realize that forwarding tax revenue from the library to the Utah Inland Port and other entities is out of your control, but people should know where their tax dollars are being spent. It's misleading when our tax notices say money is going one place and it's really going somewhere else. Most people have no idea that this is the case. Please ensure that our property tax notices this year will be more honest and accurate. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
And that was the only comment for this item.
Thank you, Taylor.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I move that the council close the public hearing and adopt an ordinance amending the final budget of Salt Lake City Library for fiscal year 21-22 only for the items as shown on the motion sheet.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Puy, a second from Councilmember Fowler. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussions, I will roll call as Councilmember Fowler.
Yes.
Puy?
Yes.
Wharton?
Yes.
Mano?
Yes.
Palomores?
Yes.
Pietro?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, that passes unanimously. Moving on to item number G6, regarding the parameters resolutions of Public Utilities Revenue Bond Series 2022. Before taking any comments, I'll turn the time over to Sam Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This public hearing relates to a proposed issuance of revenue bonds for the city's public utilities enterprise funds. The proposed bonds would yield cash of up to $360 million to fund public utilities capital projects, including almost $300 million for state and federally required updates at the water reclamation facility, a current and generational sewer treatment facility capital project. The remainder of the Series 2022 bond issuance would fund capital projects on the water utilities, such as generational rebuilds and repairs of existing water treatment and distribution facilities. Finally, ratepayers are already seeing the increased costs of previous bond issuances, funding the massive capital projects underway in the public utilities. This year's sewer, water, and stormwater utility rate increases are proposed at just over 15% each to cover existing and future payments on the bonds funding the capital projects underway and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Taylor, open up to public comments.
Council Chair, there are two people here to speak to this item. The first will be Amy Leach, followed by Jen Henninger. Amy, you are unmuted.
Oh, thank you. I'm looking for my thing. I actually don't have comment on this issue either. Thank you.
And now we will hear from Jen Henninger. Jen, you are now unmuted. Jen? Okay, I will coordinate with Jen, and if need be, she can comment during general comment.
Okay. I'll look for a motion on this one.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council close the public hearing on the Series 2022 bond issuance and defer action to a future council meeting.
And a second.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, a second from Councilmember Puy. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussions, Councilmember Wharton.
Yes.
Puy.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Palomores.
Yes.
Pietro.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That passes unanimously. And Taylor, just let me know when if Jan is able to get online later.
Will do. Thank you.
Now I'm going to move on to items G7 through G16, which are associated with the, I have 16 on my, associated with the implementation of the mayor's recommended budget for Salt Lake City, including the library fund in fiscal year 2022 to 23. All ordinances will be heard as one public hearing item during the May 17th and June 7th public hearing. Before the public comments, I'll turn it over to Jen Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The council considers all of these budget ordinances in one public hearing, as they are all needed to implement the mayor's proposed fiscal year 23 budget, including the library. The various ordinances address fees, compensation, adopt property tax rates and budgets, among other items. Tonight's public hearing addresses ordinances G7 to G16 specifically. An additional public hearing on the city's annual budget and these related ordinances will be held on July 7th at 7 p.m.
June 7th.
June 7th.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jen.
Chair, before we start, in my Dropbox, I only go to G16.
Yes, that's why I said G16.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Taylor, open up for public comment.
Council Chair, there are 4 people here to speak to this item. The first will be Amy Leach, followed by George Chapman, and then Christopher Butler. Amy, you are unmuted.
Thank you. No comment.
Okay, next will be George Chapman. George, you are now unmuted.
Oh, boy. Okay, fasten your seatbelts. I'm against increasing property taxes and water and sewer and garbage and storm fees, and I'm against the bond. This city has the biggest fund balance in 20 years and shouldn't need to increase taxes or fees. Also against fees for the use and cleaning of recreational facilities and use of city buildings for public meetings. Child care should be encouraged, not charged a fee. Locksmiths have no fee, while why is child care? And is the rental dwelling fee of $342 applied to Airbnb per room for lodging? I don't think that's enforced. It should be. The city should not increase death taxes 50% for cremation and cemetery and doubling of continuing care fees. Seniors should have much lower golf fees than $2 discounts, and a high pass should be less than $42 for seniors because it's almost the same as a UTA senior pass. Does this city really hate seniors unless they're dead? And there are too many different building fees. It's like a Monty Python skit. You don't need a script, just read it. They need to be simplified, and I'm against the $222 to $1,000 solar panel permit fees, since inspectors take 5 minutes to sign off on it. Scrap metal fees should be much higher because they're acting like a pawn shop and have catalytic converter issues. And there shouldn't be a fee for sponsoring crosswalk flags. And again, putting every budget item possible, the most important public hearing of the year, in 1 2-minute comment period is disrespectful. And again, this city should discourage making every piece of public lands like the EMT building and the fleet block developable for housing. They should stay available for the use and benefit of the public, not sold or given away to developers. And I hope you took notes, since there'll be a test next meeting. Those are my comments.
Thank you, George.
Next, we will hear from Christopher Butler, followed by Casey O'Connor. Christopher, you are unmuted.
All right, thank you. I'm here to comment on the outrageous amount of money budgeted to the police. 100 million is truly a wild amount of money, especially for a group that, when you really look at things, isn't great at their jobs or what we're giving them money to do. Study after study finds that police don't actually stop crime or really solve it. A 2020 University of Utah College of Law research paper titled "How Effective Are Police? The Problem of Clearance Rate and Criminal Accountability" found that over the past century, fewer than half of serious crimes are reported. Fewer than 10% of all crimes result in arrest or clearance, and fewer than 2% end in conviction. Those numbers are not worth $100 million. And really, I would like to know how the $100 million number was decided upon. Did the mayor's office, council, or anyone do any research into alternatives to the police? Because we have lots of great resources about it, even here in Utah and at the U of U. And I would just encourage the council and anyone to look into more options than just overfunding an ineffective system. And would encourage you to read The End of Policing by Alex Vitale, as well as Google 40% of cops. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
And next we will hear from Casey O'Connor. Casey, you are now unmuted.
My name is Casey O'Connor. I don't know if I'm working right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I guess I can. Okay, thank you. I am dead set against the 45% water increase because that's what it amounts to when you lump. I mean, you're talking almost 50% increase in fees. You got inflation just out of sight and out of mind. They figure we're going into a recession. All you got to do is look at the national just finances, spending, and how everything's so out of control I'm just dead set against it. What really got me, I mean, this isn't maybe the time or the place, but I had a thing downstairs with all this diversity stuff, all these people that are on the payroll for diversity departments. And I asked my councilwoman about it, and she didn't know what I was talking about, but they sent it out, and you got a diversity czar, diversity this, diversity that. And then now I hear we're going to honor Pride Month. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, you just flushed every God-fearing Christian down the toilet along with the city when you uphold and exalt and uplift the lifestyle. I don't care what somebody does in their privacy. I can care less. But when you force it down people's throats, that's bad. But this city really needs to get the handle on the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey.
And that was the last comment for this item.
Thank you, Taylor.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council close the public, sorry, wrong one. Oh, no, I do. Move that the council close the public hearings for items G7 through G17 and refer to the public. 16. And refer to the public hearings on June 7th, 2022.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, second from Councilmember Pui. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion on this item, I will roll call as Councilmember Mono.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
Pui.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That motion passes unanimously. We will now move on to item number H, potential action items of our agenda, and we have item H1 regarding ordinance of rezone and master plan amendment at 1950 Southwest Temple and 1948 Southwest Temple. I look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council adopt the ordinance subject to the following two conditions. One, the property owner consolidates the subject parcels, and two, the property owner executes and records in the office of the Salt Lake County Recorder a restrictive covenant that limits the building height on the consolidated parcels to 35 feet maximum.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Mono, second from Councilmember Valdemoros. Any discussion on this item?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if before we vote, if I could just make a quick comment. This is a part of District 5 that has historically had a sort of incongruent land use map with general commercial right next to single-family residential. So this, I'm grateful that the applicant is willing to accept the 35 feet maximum height, because otherwise there are already parcels right in that area where they can build up to 60 feet or with design review up to over 100 feet. So the fact that they're willing to accept the 35 feet makes me comfortable with this. It's, in general, the uses might not be compatible, but that's how it's been for decades and generations. So that's what gets me comfortable with this.
Thank you. Having no other discussion points here, I will roll call as Councilmember Fowler.
Yes.
Pui.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Vallemores.
Yes.
Pietro.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That passes unanimously.
I can't remember what that is.
I'll now move on to item number H2, an ordinance to rezone a master plan amendment at 1902 South, 400 East.
Mr. Chair, before you get started on that, there's something the recorder pointed out that we just need to clarify for the public record. Is that okay? Yes. Okay. This goes back to your public utility bond resolution, and the only motion that was necessary was to close that hearing. You didn't need to refer action to another evening because you had previously acted on it. So you were just holding that hearing. So we don't have to go back and redo it or anything. She just thought it would be good to note it for the record. That did it? Okay.
Thank you, Cindy Lou and Cindy. So I will look for a motion on the rezone and master plan amendment at 1902 South, 400 East.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council adopt the ordinance.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Mono, a second from Councilmember Wharton. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion on this item, I'll roll call it. Councilmember Wharton.
Yes.
Pui.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Vallemores.
Yes.
Pietro.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, could I take another moment of personal privilege?
Yes.
I didn't want to make any comments on this before we voted because I didn't want to influence any other council members. I have gotten some comments on this item, not a ton, but a few, and I just wanted to clarify a few things. The original application that was put before the Planning Commission included a plan for 8 units. That was when the applicant was requesting RMF 45. What we adopted was RMF 35, so 8 units is not allowed under what we adopted. It would be only a maximum of 5. And the reason for that is the RMF zones have a restriction in it of square footage, where the first 3 units require 3,000 square feet per unit of land. And under RMF 45, each additional 1,000 square feet of lot would allow another unit. That's how they got to 8 units under 45. Because this was reduced to RMF 35, it requires 2,000 square feet per unit, which only allows 5 units. We just today had a meeting with the Gardner Policy Institute. 3 of us went to San Diego and went to the National Planning Conference and learned about affordable housing and some of the needs that we have in our city, or in the nation, really. This is a nationwide issue, but if we continue to move forward policies that require a large amount of land for each individual house, it would be impossible for us to ever meet meet affordable housing goals. Even with this, that requires this will require 2,800 square feet per each of those 5 units. I understand land values are upwards of $100 a square foot. So just in land costs, we're at $280,000 per unit before you even build anything. So I agree this is not getting us anywhere closer to affordability, but as long as we continue to protect minimum of 5,000, 7,000, or 12,000 square feet per family in our city, we will never get to affordable housing standards or anywhere close. So that's why I was supportive of this.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Mono. We'll be moving on to item number I, comments and questions to the mayor from the city council. And council, is there any questions for the mayor?
No, I just wanted to thank the mayor for being here today at the lunch, kicking off the Living Traditions Festival with a lot of the honorary consuls representing different communities in Salt Lake City. So thank you for being here. I know it was kind of last minute due to a calendaring issue, but you made it, so thank you.
And also thank you for our trip on Sunday, visiting the Uten Reservation and the tribal leaders. I thought that was a wonderful event, so thank you very much also for that. Now, comments to the City Council, and we are now at the general comments portion of our agenda for comments about general topics and items that were not scheduled for a hearing tonight. I went over the City Council rules of decorum earlier, and those rules apply here as well. And I'm just going to really quickly go through those again. Council respects all points of view, and we welcome new insights. Please be respectful. Avoid yelling, profanity, making racial slurs, obscene or defamatory remarks. If you use profanity during the comments, your line will be muted, and any comments that reach a level of disrespect, we will ask you to be muted, and you will forfeit your opportunity to address the council tonight. If you feel the need to use profanity to express your point, you're welcome to email the council members or call our comment line. I will now, we're accepting comments in person and through WebEx for those joining virtually, and for those who are only option to call in, staff is monitoring a separate telephone line. Isaac from our staff is helping to moderate the meeting and can message with attendees if you need to coordinate. Taylor on our staff will be calling the names of those who wish to comment based on the order of registration and receive comment cards. Once we open the public comment, Taylor will announce 3 names at a time so that people can have some notice and be prepared to speak. When it's your turn to speak, Taylor will announce their name. For people on WebEx, you will unmute your line and you may begin. For people in person, please step up to the podium and make your comments into the microphone. Once you begin, please state your name and the 2-minute timer will start. At the 2-minute mark, the host will announce time and your microphone will be muted. If you're unable to finish your comments, please send the rest of your comments via email, mail, or call our office. And if you do not wish to speak, either message or our staff, or when the host states your name, just please let them know that you're here to listen. Taylor, we can now begin our first general comment.
Thank you, Council Chair. It looks like we have 14 people here for general comment. The first will be Amy Leach, followed by Jared Johnson, and then Jeff Baer. Amy, you are unmuted.
Nothing, thank you.
And next will be Jared Johnson, followed by Jeff Baer, and then Roy Boldthumb. Jared is in person to speak.
Yeah, my name is Jared Johnson, and my comment is in regard to the recent accidents, traffic violation. I live in District 4, and I have seen, I can't believe the stuff I saw over the past week. I was almost hit on Sunday by someone somewhere around the underpass that goes underneath the Salt Palace. And honestly, I think an option would be just to close that thing. There's other options. I've seen plenty of accidents in that area, but it's getting really nerve-wracking, especially for us with disabilities and the concern about getting injured. And it's getting kind of scary out there wandering. And so that's basically my comment. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
And next is Jeff Baer, followed by Roy Boldthumb, followed by George Chapman. Jeff is in person to speak.
Is there a way for future meetings to get a countdown clock up here? Because that's behind me and it's hard to gauge my time. Just to check.
Yeah, we usually have that screen over there. It's not working, but yes, good. Thank you very much. Yeah, sure.
So I'm specifically going to talk about the vote that was just taken on 1902 South, 400 East. Most of the neighbors got no notification of the public hearing last week. We're here tonight. So that's frustrating. It's also frustrating that I listened to Councilman Mono. We're not against density. Missing middle housing. That's proposed, even the 5 violates all the key points of missing middle housing. I'm going to provide each of you a copy of this book because our neighborhoods rely on you understanding density and how to build livable, sustainable communities and provide buildings that reinforce them. We need housing we need homes that are house-scale buildings that fit seamlessly into existing residential neighborhoods. This does not fit in seamlessly into the existing residential neighborhood. Everything around it is 1 story, and this is going to tower 3-story above everyone. It's out of scale, and this is going to come up again and again throughout neighborhoods in Salt Lake. And I hope that we can grow responsibly and take into account the existing neighborhoods. Our communities are built on the backs of strong neighborhoods, and this puts our neighborhoods at risk. And I'm disappointed. I was hoping that you would kick it back to planning so that they could review and come up with a better plan. And unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Thank you, Jeff.
Next, we will hear from Roy Blowbaum, followed by George Chapman, and then Alan Barley. Roy is in person to speak.
Good evening. I'm a rookie, first time ever here. And I must admit, it appears you people are paid for one-word vocabulary. Yes. Didn't hear any dialogue, so I thought that was interesting. My concern is a couple things. First, the bond. There's no explanation how this is paid, how it is to be, I mean, are these bonds issued? And then is there interest on them? I mean, you know, that I'm just confused as a citizen how the bond process works. Then taxes, I've heard no discussion. It'd be interesting to see how each department was addressed by the council and or the mayor to see if they could first reduce their budget as opposed to the perpetual wheel that always seems to increase the budget, which then increases the taxes on the citizens who are now, I mean, a loaf of bread that I used to buy is now $1 more. There's a 200% increase in the ice cream that I bought for my grandchildren. And now we're going to get taxed on another 4.6 and then all these 15% that are coming. So I don't know as a citizen how this whole process worked tonight, other than a whole lot of yeses and no dialogue. So again, I apologize if I'm out of context for what this meeting's about, because as I said, I'm a rookie. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy.
Mr. Chair, I want to plug on the 1st, Wednesday the 1st, I think you and I are doing an Ask Me Anything about the budget, which those are all excellent questions, and that's a good place for the public to get similar questions like that answered. What is a bond? How does it get paid? Things like that.
And Mr. Chair, may I take a moment as well? I think it's important just to explain, we do a work session during the afternoon where, especially during the budget, we meet with each of the departments or the majority of the departments that give a briefing. And that's where a lot of the conversation and questions from the council members are asked. You can tune into those on Facebook Live, SLC TV, or here in person as well. But those start at 2 o'clock and go generally up until 7, or on days we don't have a formal meeting, they can last much longer as well. So that is where a lot of that dialogue happens. And sorry if I may, this opportunity we try to keep so that there isn't a back and forth between council members and the public, but rather that we are taking the time to listen to the comments and can follow up later with you as well.
Taylor, continue.
Next will be George Chapman, followed by Alan Barley, and then Laura Ashby. George, you are now unmuted.
Okay, again, the west side of the city is available and underutilized and should be open for housing. That would get us closer to affordable housing, and I know everyone on the council, and especially Darren, wants more affordable housing, and that's the best way to do it. I agree with everything Jeff Bear said. And on another important issue, I support more funding for the police, and I think this police department is respectful and not racist in any way. I consider this country and this city to be the least racist and most respectful city I've been in, but a couple of weeks ago, a dangerous armed man was described as Hispanic by the police, not much else. And I know the officer, he's not racist, but when that kind of a description, which is not a good description, but when it's plugged into the law enforcement part, it becomes and creates a systemic racism, inadvertently, but very effective racism. And it's just like describing a criminal as black when there are just a couple of so-called black families, and that can result, like it did in Davis County, with a kid being accosted by a cop for being black. So when 911 is called and they ask, encourage, and demand race, when a good description is given, like what they're wearing, that can encourage and support inadvertently systemic racism. So I know you care. I know you're trying really hard to make this a respectful city, but I think that needs to be discussed and considered in the police department. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, George.
And it looks like both Alan and Laura said they do not have a comment, so we will move on to Cindy Cromer, followed by Michael Valentine, and then Holly Christmas. Cindy is in person to speak.
I'm still Cindy Cromer, and tonight I want to share with you a preliminary and very cursory look at the extensions of time granted by the Landmarks and Planning Commissions for previously approved projects. These extensions are always granted, by the way. This afternoon, I looked at the past 17 months, a small sample. I didn't compare the number of extensions to the total number of applications or to the number of items on the agendas. As you know, the number of applications to the city is record-breaking. Both commissions are dealing with lengthy agendas at most meetings. There are ways to approach the issue of these extensions using research measures superior to what I used this afternoon, which was hardly any research methods at all. I simply counted. In the past 17 months, Landmarks has granted 2 extensions of time, both of them involving projects which would provide new for-purchase housing when completed. In the same period of time, the Planning Commission has granted 14 extensions, 2 of them for the same projects, making a total of 12 different projects. At one meeting, the Planning Commission granted a total of 3 extensions. These extensions are associated with the applications ranging from ADUs to major hotels and are scattered all over the city. They affect residential, commercial, and institutional projects. I expect that there is pain for investors, developers, former residents and business owners, and also the planning staff associated with each of these extensions. But the heartbreaking one for me is the Kozo apartments, where I know people were displaced prematurely. These days, buying time is about the best people who need less expensive housing can do. I'll send you the list of stalled projects. They're all over our city. Thanks.
Thank you, Cindy.
And next will be Michael Valentine, followed by Holly Christmas, and then Harold Ticey. Michael is in person.
Alrighty, so I was going to talk more about the budget, but after the RDA meeting earlier, when my public comments were tried to be silenced, I have to comment on that. So, yeah, I just want to make it clear, that's not the first time you've tried to silence my comments, Anna. If that happens again, I'm going to be filing civil liberties lawsuits against everyone here. I have a right to speak. I'm not threatening anyone. I'm calm. I'm rational. Here's actually the definition of defamatory, by the way. Damaging the good reputation of someone, slanderous or libelous. It's not slanderous or libelous when there's evidence involved, and there's a reason Hines filed a fake stalking injunction against me, because they couldn't sue me for defamation. I just show up to court. This is a Pantages binder. It's so big I couldn't fit everything in there. You know, so anyway, I'm not going to put up with my comments being silenced. I have a constitutional right to be here. And Anna, you're actually my representative. I live in District 4. You work for me. I actually voted for you. Like, come on. You can at least listen to me for 2 minutes here. Come on. All right, so going into the budget, you know, I keep coming back to the RDA. What I'd like to see in the budget is an independent body, either an officer or an office, to do independent investigations into fraud, misconduct, abuse allegations, and corruption. Right now, I'm working on extensive complaints against all of you guys here. And the way these complaints work right now is it goes to the city attorney, who was appointed by the mayor, and then it goes back to the mayor and the city council. So you guys are effectively investigating them yourselves. How is that supposed to be accurate? How is that supposed to be accountable and transparent to the public? We need an independent body to do real impartial investigations for the community, for justice. And you know, I'm not saying all allegations are true, but they need to be taken seriously. They need to be investigated. You know, why can't we investigate any of this and at least look at it? And maybe it's not real. Maybe I'm just crazy. Time. But let's like at least have someone to look into this and have.
That's time.
That's time.
Say my name anyway, but anyway.
Next, we will hear from Holly Christmas, followed by Harold Picey, and then Cal Nez. Holly is in person to speak.
Hi, I'm Holly Christmas. I'm in District 5, and I live close to the property that you just unfortunately rezoned. I'm one of the few people that emailed you, probably because I'm one of the few people that heard about it. One of the problems that I see with this type of development in Salt Lake is the recent reduction in setback for these properties and where no green space is really required. And in this spot, we're replacing a very lush, verdant corner with a concrete block. And as we continue to do that across the city, losing green space, we're losing our ability to adjust with climate change. We're going to make our city hotter, noisier, increased air pollution, because we're losing all the greenery that helps us in those situations. And I do believe that we need some more density. There are great examples in our city of where that is working well, smaller units with green space where the residents who live there want to hang out as well. Some of those are unfortunately being torn down that are affordable housing right now to put up bigger concrete blocks. And I'm worried about our ability to react to climate change and the heat and noise and air pollution that we're pushing upon our city with some of these changes. And I really think as far as affordable housing goes, we also need to look at some of the speculative real estate that has been going on, because we're losing affordable housing in our neighborhood where the properties are being flipped, purchased, sold for a high price, flipped, and then rented out for a high price, rather than the affordable housing that they were just a year ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly.
Next, we will hear from Harold Picey, followed by Cal Nez, and then Jared Harmer. Harold is in person to speak.
Thank you. There are a lot of details to cover, so I'm happy to have Chris Wharton here, my council member, and I'll leave that to him. But I'd like to make some comments. First of all, I don't think that we can emphasize enough the concern of climate change. And I think in our city, all of us need to admit that it is not getting done. A city like this really could be a leader in addressing a problem like that. We're talking about 800,000 years of 300 parts per million, 800,000 years before human history. And now, in our lives, we are failing, and we are failing all together. And does the city need gasoline? Does the city need natural gas? How much? Those are our essential questions. Now I have two ideas, a small idea and a big idea. The small idea is, why should there be service fees on utilities? You go to a gas station, put gas in your car, and you pay for the gas. If you use 1 unit of water, you pay like $1.40 for the water, $10 for the service fee, approximately. It seems crazy. It's a barrier to access. It happens with all kinds of things. The homeless problem is partly based on these little nicks that go on. And in 10 seconds, I'll say this. This is the big idea. Central Park is about as long as it is from here to the University of Utah. And as we find ideas for addressing climate change, get more green space, eliminate roads, access for driverless cars, scooters, skateboards, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next we will hear from Cal Nez, followed by Jared Harmer, and then Olivia Harmer.
Am I online?
Yes, you're unmuted.
Okay. Hello, Honorable Salt Lake City Mayor and the City Council of Salt Lake. Thank you very much. My name is Cal Nez. I am a full-blood Navajo. I come from the Navajo Nation and have resided in Salt Lake City for the past 40 years. I went to South High School. I grew up in the Glendale area and have started a business and worked all over the country, providing service and all sorts of events for my people. On July 24th, 28 years ago, we started an event called the Native American Celebration, the Park. I believe recently the city council has been discussing the budget, whether or not to fund the fireworks for the July 24th events because of fire concerns and et cetera, et cetera. But I kindly ask the county, the city and the Salt Lake City Parks to continue to fund us, to work with us in partnership, because this event is about inclusion. We have vendors that come from all over the country. We have local vendors from all ethnic groups that come and showcase their crafts and foods. So I'm asking that the fireworks happen because we are part of the three events. The first day is the 47, then our event, and we have successfully worked with the Salt Lake City Parks at the end of the day when the fireworks go off. And at that point, we have people up into the neighborhood of about 50,000 people who come and attend. So I kindly, on behalf of the Native American community, to celebrate our heritage on July 24th, I ask for your continued support and for you.
And next will be
Thank
Jared
you.
Harmer.
And if Cal didn't finish up his comments, he can always email those comments to the City Council. Please make sure Cal gets that, Taylor.
Will do. Next will be Jared Harmer, followed by Olivia Harmer. And they are both in person to speak.
I'm going to be speaking about my sister as well. So our first thing, so we're going to be moving into a house pretty close to Liberty Park. Is the mic not working? Is my time going to start?
Yeah, you'll get your full time.
Cool. Is it working now? Sweet. So I'm in District 5 with Dan Mano there. So we're gonna be moving into a house right next to Liberty Park, and there's a dog park that we love there, but it's just gravel for the most part, and it's really gross, and it's called Herman Frank's Dog Park. Just really small request, please plant some grass. It'll make my life much better and the lives of many dog owners much better in the area, and I know you can do it. I believe in you. Second thing, I just graduated with a degree in business economics from the University of Utah. I know a thing or two about economics, and I can tell you with 100% certainty that the vast majority of price increases, both locally and in terms of housing, is not because of these magical market forces that everybody alludes to, like the invisible hand. It is because of greed. It is because people don't, they're not caring about their tenants, they're not caring about their consumers, they're not caring about their workers.
Time out.
Again.
We're paused.
Your mic went out again.
Apparently, we need some new batteries in this console.
We need to start over at like 50,
We'll give them some time at the end.
yeah, 54 seconds.
Nope.
Jeez. Come over.
What? Yeah,
Come
have
over
him
here.
come sit up here.
Sit up here.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
And Taylor,
You have to sit
give
down.
it, don't, yeah.
Go ahead and sit down, and then and just speak into that microphone right there. You're
And
good.
Taylor, don't cut him off. He should have like 55 seconds.
Yeah, 60% of profits or price increases have been the result of greed. They were not necessary price increases. And I can absolutely tell you that the same thing is true of housing here in the city, which means that these prices that we have are not price minimums, they are price maximums. You absolutely have the power to regulate it and reduce these prices directly. Taking money out of the hands of these corporate landlords is not the end of the world if you're putting money into the hands of normal people. You are going to help the city if you just regulate these prices. Cut off the profanity there. I still have 30 seconds. That's really all I wanted to say. But please try to look beyond your own personal interests as well. I know that there's lots of landlords, people who are connected to landlords on the city council. Please try to look beyond your personal financial interests and look at the good of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared.
And next is Olivia Harmer, who is in person as well.
Did you hear that, Taylor? Okay, so Taylor, the next, Jared's partner does not care to speak at this time. You're okay?
Okay.
Okay.
That was our final comment this evening then.
Well, thank you, everybody, for your comments. I appreciate that very much. We will move on to new business.
No, this is new.
We're on new business item J1 regarding the reconsideration of resolution redistricting city council boundaries.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council reconsider our action on May 10th relative to the resolution authorizing approval of the redistricting map.
Second.
A motion from Councilmember Fowler, second from Councilmember Wharton. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion, I will roll call as Councilmember Petro.
Yes.
Morse.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
Hui.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That motion passes unanimously.
With that, Mr. Chair, I would move that the council approve a resolution designating the boundaries of the city council districts based on the 2020 census results as shown on the attached map marked Exhibit A, which corrects the boundaries of Districts 3 and 6 to move a single property inadvertently placed in District 6 into District 3.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, second from Councilmember Wharton. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion, I will roll call this. Councilmember Fowler.
Yes.
Hui.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Morse.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That passes unanimously. We'll move on to item K, unfinished business. We have,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
we have one unfinished business. Item K, ordinance protecting the patient privacy and rights near healthcare facilities.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council adopt the ordinance.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, a second from Councilmember Wharton. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion, I will roll call as Councilmember Petro.
Yes.
Valamorse.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
Hui.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That passes unanimously. Moving on to the consent agenda. Council, Section L, the consent agenda portion of our agenda. Look for a motion.
Move for approval of the consent
Second.
agenda.
I have a motion from Councilmember Mono.
Yes.
Second from Councilmember Wharton. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion, I will roll call as Councilmember Mono.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
Valamorse.
Yes.
Hui.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That motion passes unanimously. And can I use this gavel now? We're adjourned.
Oh. Okay.